couple that we're good friends with in Chicago Heights made our annual trip up there, and we buy a bunch of blueberries and then freeze them for the winter. Anyways, that's Christmas town, and I had not nearly this big of a beard, but we decided to tour the town, and we're going up and down the street, and like every other shop was a Christmas shop, and enjoying it, and come out and we're going down the street, and once in a while my wife would just give me a poke, and my buddy, pretty soon he'd give me a poke, and, and I was really starting to get annoyed. I didn't know what was going on. My hearing was already deteriorating at that time. And so I stopped, I was kind of gruff at one point. I said, "Why do you guys keep poking me?" And they said, "You don't hear that?" And I said, "No, what? That man and his son, he just told him, he says, 'See, I told you I knew him, and you better be good.'" And so all these people are going down the street, and my beard was long, but I had a red shirt on, and they just saw me as Santa. And so then I started watching after that, and sure enough, there were just so many people. We had half the town to do yet, and they're just turning around, and I'm hearing a little bit of comment. So we got through that, and I thought that was pretty neat. There's a place up there called Sherman's Ice Cream Parlor, and they serve these huge one scoop ice cream is like that. It's massive. And so we go in there. My buddy had told us about this, so we go in there and we order our ice cream, and it's a big scoop, and I've got a beard, and I'm eating it at a booth, and the ice cream keeps getting in my beard. And I finish it, I said, "Excuse me, I gotta go into the washroom," and I wash my face up. I come back out, and I'm approaching our booth, and here is this little girl, about 5 years old, standing there, staring up at me, just in amazement. And I looked at her, and I looked next to her. Her mother was in the booth there, and I looked at her, and I knew what was going on because what was happening in town. And I just went, "Do you want me to?" And she said, "Oh, please." And I said, "Okay." And I went to sit down, and I said to the little girl, "Would you like to come over and tell Santa what you want for Christmas?" And I hit the seat, and she runs over, she leaps up on my lap, wraps her arms around my neck, and she won't let go. She just is hugging and hugging, and it was such a warm feeling it gave me, And so then she lets go, and I talked to her a little bit and asked her what she wants, and she wanted some kind of a doll, and so and I look over, and her mother had slid out of the booth, and she's kneeling on the floor, looking at me, asking if she has my permission to take a picture. And I said, "Sure, go ahead," and so she's clicking off pictures there, and the whole restaurant just stops and is looking at what is going on there. And we left there, and it left such a warm feeling in me. And I talked to my wife, and I said, "I'm gonna see if I can do something like that." And so it started, and this is probably about 2006, maybe, something like that, in there. And so I picked up little things every once in a while, and people started, as I let my beard grow, people, in July noticed, would start seeing I was Santa. So I started wearing blue jeans then, and before that I had been to Hawaii, and I always had a Hawaiian shirt on, and I just switched then. I went to a red shirt with blue jeans, and I wear that all year round. My closet is blue and red. And so it goes on like that. And I've enjoyed it ever since. A lot of what I do is volunteer, and some people, organizations, make a donation, and I appreciate what you've done for me. So that's that part of the story. And can I go on and tell you another really, really heartwarming part of this. I went, my sister-in-law got married in New Orleans. And so we went down to New Orleans, which was about, let's see, that would have been about 2014, 13, something like that, to the wedding. And we met this transgender girl. I'm saying that not just because that adds so much to how much people love in this world, okay? And so we met her, and I sat with her at the bar, and my wife, and we talked to her and saw her the next day and so forth. And I came back, and I decided I was gonna friend her on Facebook. And so I friended her, and it turned out she was a truck driver. She just had the same attitude that I had towards equality in the world. In fact, she renamed herself, her middle name she chose as Equality. So anyways, we stayed friends, and we kept talking about, well, when you drive through Chicago area, maybe we'll meet up, and just kept exchanging with her and her other friends and so forth. And as it went on, I started doing the Santa stuff, and I didn't have a suit. And people would just donate their suit to me for the season. First, I found a Chicago fireman that used to wear his and walk by the house so the kids could see him every Christmas Eve, and they got too old, and so he just packed it up. And so his wife was an organist at our church, and she said, he's got one, you can borrow that. And I did that for a year or so. And then they needed it back because there were grandkids, and I said, okay. And so this next year, then I put the word out, and somebody from Park Forest had their mother, or aunt, I guess it was, lived in Decatur. And she said, we have a suit there, and it's not being used. You can use it for the holiday. And she had seen my post on Facebook, and that's why this happened. And so she went down to Decatur and brought it back so I would have a suit for the things that I was doing. And so my friend Stephanie Equality saw this, and she says, you don't have a suit? You are the best Santa in the world. I don't know why you don't have it. She says, I want you to go out and find somebody to make you a suit. She said, I don't care what it costs. She said, I want you to get in one of those pre-made ones. I want it professionally done, and I will pay for the whole thing. And so I looked around, and I found a woman that had a master's degree in textile design. And I talked to her, and she said, sure, let's go out next week and buy the fabric. And so we went to Joann Fabric and found everything that we needed, and she put the suit together. And she also made a shirt, so I was fully attired, and she made all that. And I needed to buy the belt and stuff, and the leather stuff was quite expensive too. Anyways, this whole thing turned out to cost almost $1,000.
Wow.
And I said to Stephanie, I said, well, don't worry about it. I really appreciate the offer. She said, no, what is it? I said, well, okay, send me $500. That's fine. I appreciate it. It'll go towards the volunteer stuff that I do. She says, I know that it doesn't cost anything like that. You tell me exactly what it costs, and we'll take care of it. And so I said, okay, and I gave her the price. It was almost $1,000. The next week, I get a check in the mail for $1,000 for it. And it's just like, wow, but there are a lot of people that believe and say it out there. It shows how, let's see, the Stick song, it's a grand illusion, but deep inside we're all the same. You know, it just brought that out to me, you know, that we are so much the same, even though we look different, you know, think different philosophies, religions and everything, but deep down inside we want to be, everybody wants to be just like I am, I think, you know. So, thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for your story. That's very good.